Thank you for having me here to testify today about the Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative, known as JDAI, and how JDAI has worked in Clayton County, Georgia, to reduce the unnecessary and costly detention of youth while improving public safety outcomes. My name is Stephen Teske, and I'm a judge at the Clayton County Juvenile Court in Georgia, just south of Atlanta. In addition to my 10 years as a judge, I've been involved in the juvenile justice system in other capacities, as previously noted by you, Mr. Chairman. In the juvenile justice system, detention is where youth are held before a hearing to determine if the youth has actually committed a delinquent act, essentially the equivalent of adult jail. Today, 400,000 youth are detained every year, with 25,000 youth held on any given night. Two-thirds are detained for property or drug crimes, public order offenses, technical probation violations, status offenses, or violations of court orders. Youth of color, who were nearly 70% of detained youth in 2006, are disproportionately represented in detention facilities. Research shows detention results in harsher treatment of a youth throughout their involvement with the system, independent of the youth's charges or prior records. In addition, detention has been shown to increase recidivism, prolong delinquency, and create new or exacerbate existing mental health disorders for youth. Not only does over-reliance on detention not work from a public safety perspective, it's expensive. On average, one detention bed costs over $70,000 per year to operate, and the average cost to build, finance, and operate a single detention bed over its first 20 years is approximately $1.5 million per bed. In 2004, Clayton County became a JDAI site, and the results have been nothing but dramatic. Since becoming a JDI site, our county has seen a 70% decrease in our average daily population in juvenile detention facilities, a 48% decrease in the number of youth committed to juvenile correctional facilities, and a 65% decrease in the number of youth of color who are detained. Most importantly, we have made these reductions while making our community safer, and since becoming a JDI site, Clayton County has seen a 54% reduction of the number of youth with formal charges filed with the court. What the numbers don't show is the culture change that JDAI has stimulated. By following the JDI model, Clayton County now makes collaborative, data-driven decisions that enable us to keep youth in their homes and communities rather than in detention facilities. Our multi-agency collaboration has helped us get to the root causes of why youth come to the attention of the system and utilize different agency services to address what I call the youth's delinquency-producing needs. For example, one of our biggest changes has been the implementation of Finding Alternatives for Safety and Treatment, or FAST, panels. These panels, composed of representatives from youth-serving organizations and justice system agencies, meet before detention hearings to determine what, if any, services, supports, and supervision are needed to safely release youth charged with delinquent acts. These panels have been extremely successful at diverting youth not only out of detention, but out of the juvenile justice system entirely. For example, having mental health experts at the table allows the court to identify and divert youth with mental health needs more quickly than a judge could. Another major change has been reducing referrals from the education system to the juvenile justice system. After examining data, we found that over 1/3 of the juvenile justice system referrals were coming from the education system, and over 90% of these referrals were from minor school disciplinary matters. We use the JDI model to bring together the police chief, the school superintendent, and other stakeholders to negotiate guidelines on when school misbehavior would be handled by the school and when such behavior would result in a juvenile justice system referral, and to create an alternatives to suspension program. JDI was started over 20 years ago by the Annie E. Casey Foundation with the goals of safely minimizing detention, reducing DMC, improving conditions of confinement, and deploying juvenile justice system resources more effectively. Since its inception, JDAI has grown from a handful of sites to more than 110 local jurisdictions in 27 states. The JDAI reform model, which is used in every site, includes collaboration, collection and utilization of data, objective admission screening, new or enhanced non-secure alternatives to detention, case processing reforms, flexible policies and practices to deal with special detention cases like probation violations, and intensive monitoring of conditions of confinement. Using these strategies, JDI sites have reduced detention by an average of 35% without any decrease in public safety. In fact, most sites report improved public safety outcomes because they are more likely to identify and detain those youth who do pose significant risk. These sites have saved millions of taxpayer dollars by closing almost 1,000 unused secure beds and redeploying some of these resources to community-based programming. These sites are also the only places nationally that have measurably reduced the disproportionate confinement of minority youth. As the committee considers the reauthorization, I would recommend that the committee include the JDAI principles that have worked so well in Clayton County in its reauthorization bill, including reducing reliance on detention and incarceration of youth, incentivizing jurisdictions to reinvest money spent on detention and incarceration into effective community-based alternatives, promoting the use of data to reform and inform decisions made by the juvenile justice system, and finally, Mr. Chairman, encouraging state and local agencies that serve youth to work collaboratively with the juvenile justice system. Thank you very much for having me here.